Morning, everyone. Just wanted to give a real quick update on the Rustoleum versus the airbrush bodies that we painted last week. Went through, this is the airbrush body. Went through and used Novus 2 and Novus 1 on this. Came out really smooth, really leveled out the paint job on it. Gave it a really nice shine for about an hour's worth of work. You can see it's really smoothed everything out. It has a really good shine to it. So I can't complain about that whatsoever. Usually you can use whatever polish on this you want. You might have been able to use one of the McGuire products and made it a little bit shinier. I'm not a fan of a super gloss car or paint job from this era. Mine was not super gloss for sure. So I think this gloss level is perfect for a 1970s car right out of the factory. Now you can look at this is the Rustoleum body. There's a couple supports there that I did take out. I didn't bother. You can see the reason this one was sprayed with enamel. You can see a Z-shift line right across there. But that's why this one was Rustoleum and was just going to be thrown away anyway. Anyway, this one here, I did a 6,000, 8,000, 12,000 grit sandpaper. And then along with Novus 2 and Novus 1. Super smooth, really came out well. Got a lot of the orange peel out to where if this was a greater body, I would have no problem taking this to a show or anything like that. This here was a little bit longer. This was about, I think, 3 to 4 hours. And that was just me taking my time, not in a hurry for anything. So, again, really worked well. Leveled all that out. Everything looks great. So, the big difference there is, again, you've got a thinner total complete layers on the spray brush versus a thicker paint like this. Again, being able to master the control, the distance and the speed will give you a good paint job, and then you can take a good paint job and sand it and bring it to what it is now. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. Everything really looks good. The big thing, Rustoleum versus an airbrush. You can go and look. I paint inside. I have a spray booth and set of fans and everything, so everything's exhausted outside. The biggest thing to remember there is when you're using Rustoleum or any other spray can, make sure you have a mask on. Make sure you have a glove on. Make sure you can vent all that to the outside because it will stink up the house. It'll stink up the neighborhood really quick. So make sure you vent that outside and protect yourself. One of the big advantages is cost right off the bat. A can of spray paint right now is about $8. Now I was at the store the other day and those prices are actually coming down. I saw many rollback prices back down to $4 and $5. So a little more cost effective. So you're looking at buying a can of paint, buying a can of primer. And then if you're painting a different interior color, you're looking at your interior colors. And then, if your brush paints for details. Plus your model, you're probably looking $60. Depending on if you get your model at Hobby Lobby on sale or, you buy, something from one of the hobby shops. An initial startup for an airbrush, you're looking at an airbrush, a compressor, a spray booth, and then paints, which can be, we'll just say $6 a bottle, which I think is somewhat normal. I just bought some killer looking wicked colors that I'm going to try on a paint scheme, but I'm going to get off on a tangent here, and this is going to be a 20-minute video again. You're looking at your base color, your clear, your primer. You're looking at a reducer, flow improver if you need it. So, you know, those right there, you're looking at probably $30 for paints, where probably the same on the, you know, for the paints for the, if you use Rustoleum. But your spray booth is going to cost you, if you buy one off of eBay, you can get a good one for $200. You can get a bigger one for probably $300, to where you can fit, you know, a decent sized body in it. Compressor depends on what you're looking for. Campbell Oswald, they're not quiet, but you know they make compressors with tanks, you know, to that you can have. Some of them are less than $100. Depends on where you live, your situation, and what you have to spend or what you're willing to spend. I think that's one of the biggest factors as well, is, you know, what you have to spend. You know, years and years ago, raising kids, would just have enough money to go buy the model that I wanted, a couple cans of paint. That was it. And I would paint in the garage or, you know, somewhere like that. You know, as time goes on, actually would have money to put aside for the hobby. So, you know, that's a completely different story. So it's just whatever one you want and one you can afford. Okay. Your initial startup's probably $400 or $500 with an airbrush. So just depends on, you know, $60 or $500, and then the cleaning of the airbrush requires a ton of thinner, airbrush cleaner, stuff like that. So running an airbrush is a little more expensive. As far as mastering an airbrush, it took me a long time, and I am not a master at all. So please, you know, I could probably say I got lucky on these two. The Ford here that I'm working on, trying to cut the windows now for it, making templates and all that. That's a super smooth paint job, and that's just with a Trigger Neo. Not a bad paint job. The only dust or anything that's on it is something that I, you know, put on it, just picking it up, trying to cut out, you know, different stuff and all that. It's, once you master an airbrush, then it's pretty, I won't say easy. It's never easy. You always come into something that you have to troubleshoot. But an airbrush can really, really up your game. I will start using mine a lot more for sure. I have no problems painting with a Rustoleum either. So, you know, it's just whatever's more convenient. Also the color, if there's a color that I want that I can pick up in Rustoleum easier, cheaper, then I can pick it up. You know, say scale finishes or anything like that. More than likely I'm going with Rustoleum. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you use Rustoleum, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. If you use an airbrush, outstanding. If you use Rustoleum, don't worry about it. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you're not a modeler because you use Rustoleum. Don't let anybody look down on you because you use Rustoleum. It's what you prefer and what you choose. Period. All right. I will see you all in the next video. I'm probably going to try and put out a couple more today just to kind of get caught up on what's on some projects. All right. Thanks.